Hey guys, so today I'm going to do a video about interview experience during my P&G job application. So I will give you some introduction, like brief introduction, how everything went and what are the questions they asked. And maybe in another video I will do how did I answer all those questions. And if you are new to our channel, please check out our videos. And also if you haven't subscribed our channel, please subscribe our channel. It will help me financially to maintain this channel. And thank you very much guys. So let's get to this. Okay, so now I want to talk about the procedure that you have to follow when you are applying through the P&G application. The first, you will have to apply for the positions. Then they will send you an email with a link that you have to follow and do all the online assessment. It depends on what positions you applied. If you applied like more senior position, you won't have to do all those digit challenge, switch challenge and everything. You only have to do like behavioral questions. And after you completed your online assessment, maybe in 10 days they will send you an email asking for an interview. Basically the first step is for a video interview, so you will get a link to log into that video interview. And of course during that day you will be asked a lot of questions about yourself and what you think about the company and what you can do for the company. Okay, so once you completed your interview, you will hear from them within 30 days and hope for the best news. Okay, all right, let's go what they did at first. Okay, so initially what they did was they start talking to you and getting more comfortable talking to you and asking like how is your day going, and like telling them how's their day going, and discussing with you why they are hiring, and you know during the COVID they have hiring surge and blah blah blah. Okay, and also they will talk about little bit about the company and not too many technical details, just like a few details. And also they will talk about little bit about themselves, like their personal personal lifestyle and all the things like that. Maybe they won't talk about that all, but this is what happened with me. All right, so once they got more comfortable with you, they will directly switching the gears towards you. Okay, so the next thing they will ask you about is the basic questions. Tell me about yourself. That's the most basic questions that you have to prepare for these kind of interviews, because this is where they usually start. Forget about the P&G. For any kind of interview, this is where they all get started. You have to give the first impression very, like you have to be very sharp when you're answering this question. Okay, otherwise the first thing, if you make a bad first impression, then the rest of the question, it doesn't matter. Okay, but sometimes people get nervous, so that's why they initially start talking about like some random things to get you also comfortable. All right, so if you come to this point, you should be very comfortable. I get that sometimes people get nervous. That happened to me as well, but practice it. Okay, so you have to practice this question very hard. Okay, practice with your friend, practice with your partner, it doesn't matter. Okay, if you don't have anyone, just practice by yourself. All right, so then after they ask tell me about your question, they will ask more questions about yourself. It depends on how you respond to that question. Okay, if you say like I graduated this school and I have done this previous work, then they will catch a phrase from that answer and ask side questions. For an example, if you say you graduated from XYZ school, then they will ask, oh, what did you do in XYZ school, and things like that. Okay, so always prepare to answer for the follow-up questions. All right, then they will jump into your previous work, like what have you done during your previous work. So you have to be very specific what you have done and what positions you have held in past. Okay, then they will directly jump into the question why you are interested in this position. Right, so all these questions, so I will present you probably 18-19 questions in these slides. You have to be very comfortable answering all these questions. Right, you don't have time to think anything about these questions during the interview, so you have to prepare prior to the interview. All right, so if they ask why you are interested in this position, you better have a good answer. All right. Then the next question is, what are your achievements? This question is most probably related to your previous background and previous job. So they will ask, what are your achievements in your previous jobs? So you have to, and the other thing is, when you answer these questions, always give an example and always gives numbers when you talk about your achievements. Like I have contributed to achieve 95% increase of the production, something like that. They always give some example. It doesn't have to be the perfect example, but always before the interview, always think about what are the things that you have done. All right. So get a numeric metrics to express your achievements and things like that. All right. The next question is, what are the difficult things that you have faced? All right. So this is like when you are doing your previous job or the current job. What are the things that you have faced? Like it may be like in day-to-day life, or it may happen once for the period of the time that you are doing your current job. But you have to have an example. Okay, at least have a couple of them, because sometimes if you tell them one example, they will say, "Okay, tell me more," something like that. All right. So you have to have at least 2 examples when you are talking about these things. And next thing is, they will ask, have you had any conflicts with your previous boss or co-workers, and how you handle them? So this is kind of trick question, because you don't want to say any bad things about your previous company, previous boss, or any co-workers. Okay, so that's a bad impression. Don't say anything bad about the previous company, but you can say your personal opinion, but it doesn't have to be bad. Okay, you can say that you have some conflict. It doesn't make you, these things bad about your previous company, but you can say conflict situations. For an example, you can say when you try to increase the production line, your boss suggested this way, but I saw some drawbacks on that method, so I suggested this one. So finally we argued, and eventually we come into the middle path and solve the problem, something like that. Okay, so better have some examples of these questions. Okay, and the next one is, have you faced any problem with administration level? Okay, so this slide I specifically make to give you the awareness of the mistakes that you made on the resume. You see that underline the sentence, have you faced? So that's a grammatical error. So don't make any grammatical errors on resume. This is just for your awareness, okay? Not about this presentation. Okay, anyway. So the question is, have you faced any problems with your administration? So this is beyond your normal working environment, okay? This is beyond you working with your boss or co-workers. This is like administration levels, like HR or any other administration levels. So these questions probably will be asked if you applied for some positions that have interactions with administration level, with outside the company or inside the company. So they wanted to see how you interact with them. Okay, so if you applied for this kind of position, you better have answers for these questions. Okay, and the next thing is, this is a favorite thing. This is one of my favorite things. So in here they will ask, what's your biggest or greatest weakness? You cannot say no, because no one is perfect. Okay, you have to have at least one. Believe me, one of my interview, I told them 5 of my weakness, but it doesn't make me like a bad person or bad worker. But it's a human nature. You have some weakness, but don't ever say that, oh, I sleep during the work, something like that. So don't tell those things. Okay, so for an example, you can say, I overlooked into small details, something like that. That's a weakness, but that's fine. And when you discuss these things, just don't stop your answers after telling your weakness. Once you tell the weakness, you have to tell them how you're working on that weakness. Like, what are the things you are trying to do to overcome that weakness? Okay, For an example, you can say, okay, sometimes I look into small details that sometimes make me pass the deadlines, but now I'm working on that problem, quickly going through those details and try to reach the deadline, something like that. Okay, you get my point. Anyway, the next question is how you prioritize your workload. So this is basically a question for people who are applying for management level positions. It doesn't have to be management level position, because every job you do, you have to manage something. You have to manage your workload. And even during the resume, you might have mentioned that you have done this much of work within this much of period, something like that. Okay, so this is a basic question that you expect for any question, any interview. So you have to have an answer for this one. In my next video, you might get an idea about how to answer this question, but until then you have to find your own answers. Okay, the next thing is they will probably switch gears between your work again to their work. They will talk about some responsibilities and the expectation of the job. So they will explain like, okay, we are expecting these qualities and these expectations, but this may never happen. But in my previous experience, sometimes they do this in purpose. You will see, because they want to walk you into the other questions. All right. So now once they explain the responsibilities and expectations, they will ask how your previous work experience will match the current work requirements. Okay, so this is where you have to be fully prepared. Okay, you have to read your job description and your resume a lot of times before the interview, right? So once you have that knowledge, you can compare your previous experience to the job requirements. Okay, so that's the other question. And next, they will ask few questions about the company to test your knowledge, like to test how much research you have done about the company. They will not directly ask you, directly ask those questions. They will just passing those questions to see how you respond to them. Right? These questions are not like the previous question, like tell me about yourself, how your skills match our job requirements, things like those. These are not those kind of questions. These are they are just talking with you and passing information and see how you respond to those questions. So know the background about the company, know how many branches are located in the world or in the area, and how many employees are in here, things like that. Okay, so know about the company, do research about the company. The more you know, the better chance you have, because you have a lot of topics to cover when they are normally talking. Right? Trust me, guys, the interviews are not robotic conversations. They are like the day-to-day life conversation. So the more you know about the company or the person you are interviewing, you have a lot of common things to talk about. Okay, so those are the key things that you have to know before you face the interview. And then at the end, let's say you were invited to 30-minute interview. Then probably around 25 minutes, they will say, okay, that's pretty much covers their expectations and everything. And they will invite you to ask questions. Trust me, guys, this is one of the most important thing during the job application process. And interview means they are not only interviewing you, they want you to interview them as well. Okay, so during this time, it's you have to ask questions. At least ask a single question. If you don't have a time, let's say they invite you to ask questions at 28 minutes, you only have 2 minutes. At least ask a single question. Don't say, no, I don't have any question, I got everything. Don't do that. Okay, ask at least a single question, because it's very important. They want to see how you want to interact with them as well. Okay, they wanted to see how enthusiastic you. Okay, so that's why you need to ask questions. Ask about the company, but don't ask about the salary at this point. Okay, trust me guys, it will do much more bad things than good things. Okay, don't ask anything about the salary, about this period. Okay, only ask about like, do you provide any training, how is the work environment, things like that. Okay, just Google what are the questions I should ask during the interview, something like that. Okay, you will find a lot of questions, but pick the correct questions. Don't ask like any crazy questions. Okay, so that's pretty much about it. And then after that, maybe during the final minute, they will explain what's the next step. And if they are going to do another interview session, they will inform like, you are invited to do another interview, or they will say, okay, we will review these details and send you the results, or we will review these things and ask you for a next interview, something like that. And if they don't mention anything like that, just ask like, okay, I have a final question, what is the next step, something like that, right? You should ask that, because otherwise you are like blindly ending the interview and you don't know what's going to happen next. Okay, so always ask what is going to happen next. Okay, all right, so that's pretty much about it. So that's the interview experience that I had, at least. And I think I did a very good job. But anyway, I didn't get any job offer for this position, but hopefully you guys will get something. And if you have any questions, just comment below. I will try to answer them. And please tune in. I will upload another video about how to answer all these questions, and so you can have an idea. But it doesn't have to be the same way that I answer them. But at least you will have some options and some starting point to look through those answers. And okay guys, so this is it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. That will help me to financially to maintain this channel. So help me guys, and also like my videos to beat the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, bye bye.